This is the manipulative area, and in here we work on fine motor kinds of skills, size and shape discrimination, number and letter recognition, just a lot of perceptual skills. And so good equipment is open-ended, and that is it can be used at lots of different levels based on the developmental level of your child. So an example of that might be this peg board, which is a very basic piece of equipment. And so the idea is you just put pegs in it, and so it takes a little bit of fine motor to push those pegs down into the hole and get them to stay. And then if they want to layer it and make it taller, they can do that. One time we had a little sibling that was like 2 or 2 1/4 or something, came in, and they had them all like this. Every one of them, all the holes covered with it like that. So the 3-year-olds, they are compelled to fill every hole. They have to fill every single hole. They would not dare think of not filling every hole. Then, as you get a little bit older, you might use it in different ways. So you can have a column of a certain color, have columns and rows of different colors. An older child yet might make squares of different colors inside of each other. An older child yet might make a sunburst pattern on it or some kind of art-like work with it. An older child yet might try and make numbers or letters with the pegs. So there's not a right way or a wrong way to use it. It's just a good open-ended piece of equipment that can be used in lots of different ways and multidimensionally also. Let's see, over here we have beads. So with these beads, and you just string them along, we have patterns. So that a child, so the youngest children will just come in and they'll just string beads. That's good fine motor, and they'll just pick beads the way they want, or maybe they'll pick their favorite colors or something. But the older children then, or the children that are ready for it, will then follow the pattern, and they'll match up the beads with the pattern. And so patterning and sequencing are very important concepts for young children. Very important to have those solidly a part of you in order to break the code and be ready to learn to read. These puzzles, I love this puzzle. This one's called Fit a Blob. So you can see they have all these nondescript shapes. Usually when you have a puzzle, there are different hints. So the head goes on top, the feet go to the bottom, the wings go out to the side, and so that helps you solve that problem. This is called Fit a Blob. These are all blobby shapes. You have to use all your perceptual skills and orientation to figure out, okay, this bulbous thing, where's this going to go on here? So again, being successful at this kind of puzzle is really important to be ready to learn how to read. I love this piece of equipment here. The boys especially love this, but you hear that girls are more mature than boys are, and it's true. By age 6, girls can be 8, 9 months more biologically mature than a boy the same age is. And so that has nothing to do with intelligence. It just has to do with they can sit and attend a little bit better. They have better fine motor. They just things that they, as a result of being more mature that way, that they're just more able to do. Well, we want the boys to have good fine motor too, so we get out these tools. All boys love nuts and bolts and stuff, so they can use these nuts and bolts and put the wheels on and make anything that they want to of any shape. We've got little wrenches here and some washers and just nuts and bolts of all different sizes and all these different wheels that they can put on. And some of them will just make these real long snaky things, and other ones will bring them all together in nondescript shapes. It's just it's a great thing for fine motor for boys. And so girls being more mature than boys, 9 months more approximately at age 6. At age 12, they're about 18 months more biologically mature. Well, they go through puberty about 18 months before the boys do. So that's what we're talking about. And anyway, we try and find ways to make things really interesting we set individual goals for each child, but we know that most boys are not real fine motor oriented. So again, that's one of the things you can do at your house that is helpful, is do fine motor things with your little boys and girls. Most of this, again, this equipment is pretty open-ended. It can be used in lots of different ways by different children, just depending on their developmental age, not their chronological age. And we switch it out so all these things would disappear after a week, and then we would bring all new things in, and we choose them with the intention of what skills they'll be developing. So we have our reading loft up here, and we've got comfy places for the children to just go up, and we have a whole bookshelf over there on the side. Our nature shelves are down in here, and we got a little Lego table over there. And this on the bottom of this light here, it's magnetic, so they use all their magnetic things to mess around. A lot of the different magnetic things too. And then we've got a writing center over there underneath the aquarium. And so they can go over and they can get out pieces of paper and all different kinds of things. They have stamps and templates and just straight out writing stuff, scissors, things that they can work on should they choose. Important principles in child development. Children learn through the concrete manipulation of the materials. So that's why all this is hands-on. Piaget and Erikson identified all these different stages that every single child goes through. Well, they're in the concrete stage from age 1 to 6. So that's why you do everything concretely. The symbolic stage starts at age 6, at the end of kindergarten and in first grade. So if you go into a preschool and you see them doing worksheets or dittos or workbooks, you know that they're not developmentally appropriate. You know that they just don't understand that that's not the stage the children learn best from. They do it concretely. So very important concept in child development. Another thing is readiness. So each child's on their own internal timetable, and they're going to do the next appropriate thing that is right for them at a time that's just right for them and no other child. So there's no right time to get potty trained. There's no right time to learn to read. It's going to be different for every single child. And if you try and make a child do that before they're ready internally, it's going to be a disaster. So readiness means when the child's ready, not when the parent's ready, not when the teacher's ready. It means when that child is ready. And so reading, toilet training, the average age is 2 years and 8 or 9 months. Some children are going to be earlier than that. Some children are going to be later than that. So if you tried to, if their natural time was going to be 3 years old, and you try and make it do them at 2.5, it's just going to be a disaster and can do some damage. So just help it be natural, and it'll happen. Now, we do keep an eye on it, and if it hasn't, if a child goes into their 3s, then sometimes later on you might want to get it checked out to make sure there's not some kind of a physiological thing. Because we have had many instances of that. And so then they can identify that and get some help with it. Let's see. For readiness then on reading, most children in the United States still learn to read in first grade. A lot of children learn to read in first grade, so many. But they're trying to make kids learn in kindergarten now. Now, they didn't used to do that. In our kindergarten, we have 20 children and 3 teachers. And because we've very carefully chosen all the materials and they've gone to preschool here, we'll have 17 or 18 good readers out of 20 at the end of the year. The rest of them think they're reading because they can read very basic things that the pictures kind of tell you what the words are going to say. So we have lots of readers in our kindergarten because they were ready. But at the world at large, really a lot of them are not ready yet. And so what happens, a lot of children learn on a stair-step kind of a method. They'll take a quantum leap up. They're reading words that they might see in the newspaper as you're driving around town. But then they have to sit on the flat of the step for a while and digest that. And that could be for 4 months, 6, 8 months, a year. And then they're ready to take the next step up and learn. And if you try and make a child read or send them to some class to read and they're not ready, it's going to be a disaster, because you want to create a joyful, lifelong reader. And when the books come out, if your child's not ready and they're not having success with it, and they go, oh no, not the books again, I can't, no, please, King's X, no, I'm no good at this, I don't like reading. So you don't want them to have that attitude. So just let it be a readiness skill, which it is. Let it happen as it happens. And then in school, we've had children that were good readers at age 4, but we didn't teach them. And the parents didn't teach them either. They just were ready and they broke the code. But most children are ready when they're 5.5 to 6.5. So we follow up on all these children. So the 2, 3, 4 children that were not reading in kindergarten, they learn in first grade just like so many children do. It's not unusual for us to hear that they ended up at the top of the class at the end of first grade or in second grade, just because they were ready and it wasn't made a negative for them. You don't want to make it a negative for them. So anyway, readiness, very important skill, concept in child development.